There you go. I've got 9 global buckets made with a variety of everything from zucchini, English cucumbers. I've got a couple of different types of peppers, jalapenos and cayenne, all low carb stuff. If you need some growing space, like on a balcony, or I'm going to put these on the deck out in the front in the sun, because I've got critters here that eat our vegetables. Today I'm making global buckets. Looks like this. One little global bucket can produce a lot of vegetables. Cherry tomatoes, I've had up to 600 in one bucket, and it'll grow up to probably about 7 feet high. Maybe 15 zucchinis. I gave my wife Jennifer a zucchini growing competition a few years back. She used the traditional method in the ground, and I used a global bucket, and I beat her by weeks with the global bucket. Now these were developed, I'm going to say about 15 years ago, by some high school kids. Their mission was to come up with an idea to grow vegetables in hot, arid countries that with poor soil conditions, and they did a really good job. So it's called a global bucket, and it's based off, this is called an earth box, and you can see in the bottom raised base there, and that's called the feed tube, and then right here you can see where it drains. So the whole concept on this is we're going to put a soilless mixture in there, and some dolomite and Epsom salts, more of the soilless mixture, and then we're going to put some fertilizer around the edge. And what happens is you can't over water an earth box or a global bucket, because you've got this feed tube, and the water will just go out over the drain, go out of the drain hole there. So the concept on this is when you plant and the roots go down, they can feed from the bottom whenever they want. You're not forcing water onto the top, drowning them out. Works really well, extremely well. So I'm going to be planting this earth box up too. Got some great plants here. I've got some zucchini, some basil, some cherry tomatoes, some early girl tomatoes, some Roma tomatoes, some jalapenos, some cayenne peppers, some cucumbers, eggplant. And if you're wondering in my recipes how I get such large zucchinis, great big slabs for lasagna, it comes from the global bucket. I'll show you the parts in a global bucket. So I've got some conduit. This is electrical conduit right here, and it calls for about 30 inches of it. And you're going to cut 24 inches and a 6-inch piece. And then you can either cut this part on an angle, one end, or I did a fancy cut, as you can see right there. And that's so that when it sits in the bottom of the bucket, the water will just come out through there. If you had it flat like that, then the water wouldn't come out. You need a funnel. That's for the feed tube. And then I've got, this is a salad bowl from the dollar store. Now you can use a salad bowl, or this is an old hanging basket, and we can turn that upside down and drill a hole in. It'll work just the same. You can scavenge some parts. And a black bucket, of course. I like black because it attracts the heat and it warms up the roots nicely. We're going to cover the top with some black plastic to keep the rain out and to drain it off. And you can get, it has to be nice thick plastic. This is actually a piece of a lumber tarp. I use it to use lumber tarps here to put leaves on, then take the tractor and pull it out into the bush in the fall. But we're going to go with 16-inch pieces like that. Some strong mason line. And this is called Pro-Mix. And it's basically this is what they use in the greenhouses. And it's got vermiculite and perlite in it. And it's a soilless mixture. You can't have soil in these. It's just too dense and thick, and it'll just kill the roots. So the other thing that you're going to need is, this is called a step drill bit, and it's for drilling holes, but you can drill to the size that you want because it's stepped. And I'm using, this is 3/4 inch, but you can go up to 1 inch. I've got some there that are 1 inch. I even have a piece of metal pipe. So we drill a hole in the side slowly, until you get a really nice snug fit when it goes in, like that. This is the top feed tube though. So I'm going to put the feed tube like right here. So it needs to go a little bit more for this to fit. This part can be a little looser. See? That fits in perfectly. These global buckets are reusable. Okay, so that's a salad bowl from the dollar store. And I've drilled a hole in the side so that when we put the drain tube in, it goes like that. And then we've got a hole for the feed tube, which is going to go in. This one, you can see when it goes down to the bottom, the water will just drain through there. I've also drilled a hole horizontally in the side. I'm just going to line this up. So the drain tube is going to go in, and it has to be a really tight fit so it doesn't leak out. And you're going to go about 3 inches. So that's in. So the concept of this is when you water, here's the feed tube, and it's going to go in like that. So you can see what that looks like. And when you put water in here, it's going to come up to this level and then just drain out, and you'll never overwater it. You can use your soil, your Pro Mix medium, up to 3 times. So the stuff that I have here, this will be the second year on this, but it rained last night and some of it's kind of damp, and I'm just going to put a little bit, freshen it up with some fresh Pro Mix here. So I'm just going to put a little bit. What I'm going to do now is fill this up, packing it down as I go, up to the 3/4 mark. Make sure that you keep your feed tube, your water feed tube, plumb like that. There, I'm up to the 3/4 mark, and I've got 1 cup of dolomite, and it's like a limestone, and it'll help with blossom end rot. So one cup of dolomite, and we'll sprinkle this over the surface here. And kind of scratch it in like that. You can see that's scratched in. And now I'm going to throw in a 1/4 cup of Epsom salts, just plain old Epsom salt. It's like magnesium. At our other home, we have palm trees, and if you've got trees that you're struggling with, you want to put some magnesium or some Epsom salts at the base and water it in. Just amazing stuff. So that's going to go in. That'll help with the blossom end rot too. That's just a 1/4 cup. Scratch it in like that, and we'll throw some more on. We're going to go to about 4 inches below the surface here. And we'll pack that down nice and hard. With the global bucket, you only fertilize it once in a season, and that's what we're going to do right now. And I've got a 1/2 cup here of, you really should use 10-10-10, a nice balanced fertilizer. Mine just happens to be 16-16 for the lawn, so I just use that. But we're going to just go right around the perimeter. And the idea with this is as the plant grows, it can just reach out for fertilizer. And that's enough of a charge for the whole season there. And we're going to put some more Pro Mix on the top to about 3 inches above the surface, and then we're going to put the top on it. Now, when you're reusing this soil, what I do in the fall is I put a lumber tarp out on the lawn, and I just put the Pro Mix on and dry it out for a couple of days, and then store it in the garage in a wheelbarrow till spring. And that's where we are right now. There, you can see that's convex now. And now we're going to put a top on this. So I take my square. I'm going to have to put a little slit in where the feed tube is, which is right about here. Side like that. And then we're going to tie it on. Now in these buckets there's a little groove right here. That's where I try to go with the string. And then I just pull it tight like that. I'm going to trim some of the excess off. Leave a couple of inches on the bottom so it doesn't come off. There we go. And now when it rains, the rain will just come off the side. So what I'm going to do is, we've got fertilizer around the edge, and I'm going to cut an X in the surface just like this, probably about 4 to 5 inches across. And then I'm going to put a zucchini in this one. So I just go like this and I just push the soil off to the side like that. So there's a zucchini there, and nice little root system on it. And I've got a nice little pocket, so I'm just going to push that in. Perfect. That's ready to go. Put your funnel in. And we're going to charge this up. You can either charge it before or you can do it after. But we're just going to go until the water runs out. And I have to say that we just want to keep on going. And it's going to come up to 2 inches here. And then it'll just start coming out the end there. So the water is going to wick up to feed the plant. And the roots will go down. And because you're feeding from the bottom, in the summer when these start to really grow and take on fruit, it will take 2 of these jugs in one day. There, you can see it's starting to come out the end now. So I'm just going to keep on watering this. I'll probably, because it's going to wick up. You want it to be nice and moist on the top, right? Moist throughout. So we just keep on doing it. Water it every single day. Even if it comes out the bottom like this, just keep on watering it. So the last thing that I'm going to put on here is a tomato cage so that it can grow on the loops there. And you can either push them down or you can put it like a little slit. And you really need these for the tomatoes too. But I suggest that if you have a spot like a fence, just go up against the fence. So there we go, into the little holes. We'll push that down like that underneath the feed tube. That's in nice and strong. Well, as you can see, my global buckets are doing fantastic on this front deck facing the south here. It's exactly 8 weeks today, and they're taking on 1.5 jugs of water each day. Well, it's time to shut down the global buckets. They've really produced well this season. Got a few red ones. These ones will turn red. But what I'm going to do now is just wipe out all these tomatoes. Look at that, that's a bumper crop right there. The zucchinis did really well this year. We did zucchini pizzas. I'll water this every day, sometimes twice a day when it gets really hot. But there you go, there's a global bucket. So easy to make, such a good investment, and you get pesticide-free, home-grown vegetables. Global bucket. Thanks for watching.